Welcome, everyone, to the training webinar series, Mastering the New Pricing Screen in Eyefinity Encompass presentation. Thank you for joining us today. We look forward to your questions throughout the presentation. You can enter them by clicking on the Q&A icon on the right side of your screen. My name is Marianne Giorgio, and it is my pleasure to be with you today to introduce Tina Sanchez. Tina has more than 10 years of healthcare experience and over 6 years at Eyefinity. She is a functional expert in Eyefinity practice management and Eyefinity EHR and holds a master's degree in healthcare management. She was born and raised in Savannah, Georgia, and enjoys spending time with her family and friends. Tina loves to read and travel in her spare time, and she is known for her enthusiasm for helping others. Okay, Tina.
All right, thank you, Mary Ann, for that introduction. So we're going to get started and talk about our new and improved pricing screen. And you all on here may have already seen the new pricing screen, but we're going to look at it together today. Our previous pricing screen had really good functionality, but we've updated the screen to streamline your workflow and check out your patients more efficiently, providing a more intuitive layout and improved navigation on the pricing screen. So I'm going to go ahead and bring over my Encompass screen here, and hopefully everyone can see that. I'm going to walk through an order today, so we can get to that pricing screen and talk about all that different, functionality or, different layout of our pricing screen, that allows for that more efficient, workflow. So I'm going to go ahead and look up my patient. Now, my patient here, Rachel, I've already added her insurance, added her authorization, if she does have insurance coverage, and you guys, will do that, prior to invoicing your orders here in the system. So I've already, done that for my patient. So I'm going to go ahead and create an eyeglass order. And you can see my VSP signature listed here for my frame and lens here. So I'm going to choose that and create the order. Just make my selections here. My lenses. Just doing my polycarbonate. And as you guys are familiar, when I'm making these selections, that's based on, what you have activated in your system, what you're selling to your patients. So now I'm going to put in my PDs here. If I want to add, a coding, I'm going to add that and add to my order, then add my lab. Now, of course, this is a VSP job, so I'm going to, select my appropriate VSP lab. So I'm just going to select one here. And then I'm going to continue to summary. And you guys are probably already familiar with, building the order. But I always like to point out here, even when I'm at this point and I want to get an estimate, for my VSP patients, I can do that right here from the screen, even before I get to the end and do my calculation of my benefits. Even before I get to my summary page, I can do update estimates, and it's going to calculate and give you an estimate for that patient, what they're going to owe out of pocket here. And as you can see, my patient owes $25 balance. Oh, that's the copay, but you can see they owe $200.96. So you're giving that patient that idea, already, what they owe out of pocket after applying their insurance benefits. Now, of course, here, if you also have did an exam with that patient, we're not going to see that yet. So we're going to continue to summary, review our order here, and say everything looks good. We can still see those same, estimates here on this screen. I'm going to continue to pricing. And then I am to my new pricing screen here. The layout is, so much more intuitive than the previous layout here. Is super cool. You have the buttons up here that you can actually, take a tour through this screen if you have more questions, after, being here and watching what I'm showing you here today. But you can always take a tour of the screen and it'll take you through all of the little aspects, of the screen. And like previously, you could see up here at the top that if you do have a pending exam, it's going to give you that same info that it always did, telling me that I have a pending exam and what codes that, that have been added to this order. Now, keep in mind, you can see down here, my codes have already been automatically added because I have that set in it in administration that I want my exam codes to automatically be applied and added to my fee slip here. So, I can go down here. You can notice I have trash can here. So if they do get automatically added and you're like, yeah, I don't want them on this fee slip, I can trash can them from here very easily. Now, if you don't have it set up where it automatically adds these codes, then keep in mind you have your add exam button here at the upper left that you would click on that and go and, pull in those exam charges or manually input, your diagnosis codes, your CPT codes to add here to the fee slip. All right, now if you notice, once it added my codes here, just want to point this out really quickly that you can see how everything here is checked off automatically here on my screen. Sometimes these things are not going to be checked off. So this is very important, especially when you're going to apply insurance to something. That's when you have to have these boxes checked off. Same thing on your on the previous pricing screen. If you want to apply insurance to something, make sure it's checked off. If you do not want that insurance to be applied to an item, make sure you come here and, uncheck it. Because keep in mind, especially for VSP, we pulled their benefits. If they don't have coverage for, something that we have on our fee slip and we try to apply the insurance, then, it's going to kick that back and tell us, hey, you have something, on here that, is that the insurance will not cover. So, and also you have the top check box here, if I want to uncheck everything and just for right now have everything unchecked, I can uncheck everything at the same time. All right, so we're going to go across the top here. So same buttons we had previously. You have add frame here. So if I wanted to, add an additional frame here on my fee slip, or even if I was creating just a fee slip for a frame, I would click on add frame here. I can easily look up a frame and add it. Same thing with accessories. So let's say this patient, is purchasing a case from us, or maybe, a cord, or, something that you sell in your office that, is for purchase by your patients. Then I'm going to go to add accessory, and then I would just look up case. This is based on, what you have activated in administration under your accessory section. And I'm going to search. So you notice I have two cases here that are listed. Um, they are priced at 0, and I have the pencil icon here. So we have the pencil icon there because of the way they're activated in an administration. If I have it priced over an administration, and I'll show you one that I do have priced. If I do have a price here, I would not be able to edit this. But because I have that 0 price box checked off in administration for these two cases, I have the ability to say, okay, well, I want to charge this amount for this case for this patient. So I'm going to put in $10 here, and then I'm going to click on add because I want to add it to my list over here to add it to their fee slip. And it's going to ask us this question that it normally would ask. Do you want to save this price as the retail for this item? And it's asking us that because we have it priced at 0 over an administration. So it's saying, okay, do you want to forever price it at 10? Or do you want to be like, no, only for this patient, we're charging $10. So I would say no here. So then, when I go and sell the same case to another patient next time, it will allow me to edit the price every time. So you can see it added here. Now, if I do add something here, I can change the quantity here. If I add something by accident, I have the trash can that I can, delete that. Now, if I'm selling another accessory to this patient, I can just simply come over here, look it up. I don't have to leave the screen. There's my cord. You can see my cord is priced at $5. I don't have the pencil icon because that item is priced at $5, in administration. So I don't have the ability to edit that price here. So I'm just going to add it here. It adds it to my list, and then I'm going to add to order. So it's a lot simpler here with adding those accessories, because usually you would have to add an accessory, go out of the screen, go back, look up your next accessory to add that second one. And you can see my two accessories listed down here at the bottom. $10 and $5 do have the trash can icons there. If I added that in error, I can just delete it off of this screen. All right, same thing up here. You have a warranty button. So if you're charging for some sort of warranty, you have that option here. Add more has your gift card area. If you're charging a shipping fee, repairs, or any miscellaneous fees that you have set up in the system, I can add those under the add more. Now, keep in mind with the shipping fee, the same how it's always reacted. Let's say, for instance, you're doing a contact lens order and it's being shipped to the patient. Once I get here to the screen, that box is going to pop up, reminding you, hey, do you want to, charge them shipping? So you won't have to remember to add it and go to add more and do shipping fee. It's going to pop up automatically like it always has. So, you could tell the system whether you're charging shipping or, it's free shipping. All right, so now we're going to move down to the next area. So our next area is our provider area, our insurance, and our coordination of benefits section here. So you can easily, come here and change your provider. If it's a different provider in your office, you have multiple providers. I can, change that very easily here by, typing in their name. I don't know if I have, let's see. Yeah, so you can see my doctors that I have here. So if there's no doctor there, it will list any of your doctors that you have active in Encompass, and I could, make those selections here. I'm just going to select my test doctor again, and that defaulted as the test doctor because that is the doctor that actually did this exam and, sent those charges over from the EHR side. All right, so that just makes it so much easier to make that doctor selection. Previously on our previous screen, it was down at the bottom left-hand corner, kind of small, so it's more prominent up here at the upper left. So you can easily change that doctor or make that doctor selection if it's not there yet. Also with your insurance, previously it was at the bottom left-hand corner of our old pricing screen, but now it's here at the top. Much easier to see here at the top to apply your insurance. And you can notice when I clicked on the drop down, it says, hey, select an item to apply insurance. So remember, I unchecked all these items. So if I'm trying to apply insurance, it's always going to give me that alert here to say, hey, you don't have anything selected to apply insurance to. So you have to close out this box and, and make your selections here if they're not checked off yet. Same thing with coordination of benefits for any of you offices that, do anything with coordination of benefits with a patient that has a primary medical and a secondary VSP, or are using two VSP plans on the same invoice here. When you have both of those authorizations, pulled in, you will be able to apply the primary and then also, apply that for that coordination of benefits. So it's pretty cool. It makes it so much more simpler than going to the bottom left and adding like a secondary when, we're talking about coordination of benefits here, with those two specific scenarios when you would do coordination of benefits, with VSP. All right, next over to that is our promise date area. So it always defaults, of course, to a promise date based on what you have set in your administration side. I think mine is probably set at like 15 days. So it always defaults here. You guys can click on the drop down. You can change this promise date right here. You may be like, well, the patient's actually not going to see this promise date. But, we do have some offices that say, yeah, I want to like push this out a little bit, or maybe I know it's going to be less time and we want to see a different date than what is auto populating, then, we can change that right here. And I can be like, okay, yes, should be on the 1st. And I can just easily change it here. And then drop back down and you can see my date has stuck there. All right, and then below that is our order summary area. You can see our order total here, based on all of our retail prices over here on the side. Tax. So if you have your taxes set up in the system, if you're charging any state taxes, city taxes, anything like that, county taxes. And when you have your tax rate set up, you may even have it set up where it automatically calculates. If it does, you're going to see your tax total over here. Now I can click on the hyperlink here and it will list any however taxes were applied here and the amount that was applied, what tax rate. I don't have any tax rates set up in here, but it would show all of that info here. And it's pretty cool that even when you look at it this way, let's say a tax rate was here and I'm like, yeah, that's not the right tax rate on this item. I can click on my arrow here and I can manually input a tax rate here. So if I wanted to, I don't know, charge 5% taxes on this, then I have an option here to tell it apply tax to net price, apply tax to retail price, or apply no tax. So, I can make those changes very easily here, even if those tax rates are set in the system and those taxes have been calculated. You can make those changes here. And then I would just click on continue. And then you can see there's my taxes there on my order summary area. And so, that's just very easily to add there if you need to add taxes basically on the fly. Now, if I want to take those back off, I can click back on there, go back to the item, take this out, and then continue. And that's going to take those taxes off. So like I said, very easy to adjust those, add taxes, take them back off if you need to here on this pricing screen. All right, so now we're going to move back over here on this side. So you can see that we have some hyperlinks here, view item details, line discount, global discount. Line and global discount, a couple things you guys are probably familiar with. You were able to do, your line discounts and global discounts on the previous pricing screen. So if I want to discount something, discount a line item, then I can just simply click on line discount. And it is pretty cool that it brings everything here on this screen. It did not function in this way previously. You actually were discounting a line item. You didn't have everything up here on the screen at one time. You would see like this one line item, and then you would have to discount it, apply it, then go to your next item, if you were doing line discounts. So now you have the option to say, okay, well, I want to discount the frame and I want to discount the case or whatever. You can do all of those things at one time. You do have to do each individual item, of course, but it's allowing you to do it here on this one screen, and also, selecting your reason here as to why you're giving a discount. So if I wanted to discount, this 10%, 10% and say customer satisfaction. If I wanted to give them a $2 discount on this case, I can. Store promotion. So I can do discounts all at one time and then apply discount. And now those discounts are there. You can see my line discount right here on my frame. It discounted the 10%, which was $24. And then you can see my line discount here on my case. So you can see everything on the screen. You don't have to leave the screen. You don't have to go back to line discount, to see those discounts. Now, what if I was like, oh, wait, I did not mean to, put a discount on their case. I mean, it's $10. I'm not going to give them a discount. You can see I can hover over this, and right there you can see I have an X that allows me to remove it instead of having to be like, oh, let me go up here, go back here, take it off. You don't have to do it that way. You can just come here, click on the X, it will remove it very easily. Now, I don't know if you guys noticed when I hovered over line discount, it told me what was the discount reason. Even if I go up here, you can see customer satisfaction. Very cool that you can see, why you gave that discount right here from the screen, well, without having to go back to the line discount screen. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this and say I don't want that discount. So you can see how it easily removed, and now it's back to $10. Right? Now, global discount would, work very similar. When I click on global discount, you just see the one screen here. You can see, if you want to discount by percentage or dollar amount, and then select your reason here. And just global discount is if you want to discount, the entire, invoice at one time versus individual line items. Let me go ahead and I'm going to do a global 10%. I'm just going to do that. Apply discounts. Now, I did that because I want you guys to notice, you see, because I already had a line discount on my frame, now I see I have two discounts on the frame. I had that line discount of 10% and then that global discount I just did, along with everything else, except for exam, refraction, the fitting does not have a discount. And you guys may be like, well, why does that not have a discount? I have it in administration that I don't want discounts, to be applied to my exams. I'm applying discounts to, my materials here, not to my exams. So that's why it did not do anything with that global discount, because I don't want, those particular things discounted. Now, same thing here. If I'm like, oh, yeah, I didn't mean to do that global discount on that frame, I'm going to just remove it very easily, and, take it back just to that 10% versus the 20%. All right, so that is line and global discount. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on this view item details. So I don't know if you guys noticed, when I click on view item details, it basically opens up these little arrows anywhere that you see an arrow, and that's just going to drop it down so you can see all the items that are listed under the eyeglass lens, the single vision, the poly, single vision clear, and you can see the breakdown of the pricing here when you use that view item details. Or you can just simply click on the little arrow here, and that'll drop it down for you so you can see all your items that are included in there. Um, Pencil icons. So the pencil icon here allows you to go and edit this item. Or if I wanted to go into the order and edit, the lens portion. Now keep in mind, if I go and I click on this pencil here, more likely it is going to remove those discounts. You would have to reapply the discounts if you're going back in and editing the order. When you get back to here to the pricing screen, it is going to require you to reapply any discounts that you had applied previously, if you still, want those discounts on there. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the little edit pencil. And you see it just takes me back into my order here. And, if I wanted to go and change my frame or change something, about my lenses, maybe they decided instead of clear, they want to do polarized. So I'm going to add to order. It updates everything. And then, back through the order again and going back to my pricing page. Now, if you notice, it told me the order has missing or invalid information. So it's telling me, hey, oh, well, it doesn't like what I just did. VSP lab cannot be used for primary insurance in this. Oh, if you notice, it switched to no insurance. So it doesn't like my lab that I just did. So I'm going to click on go to build order. And it is not allowing me to do that. All right, let's go back here. And I'm going to go to my non-invoiced. So remember, if something happens with your order and you cancel out of it, it's going to show up in your non-invoiced orders here. And I'm going to go to price. And I want to see. All right, I'm going to check all these items and let's see. Yep, there's my insurance. Good. So I'm back to where I wanted to be with the insurance here. Now, remember, only check off items that you want to apply that insurance to. Because if you have something, on the or try and apply the insurance and it doesn't belong or shouldn't be billed to the insurance, you're going to get kickback in the system. So I'm going to go ahead and check off all of this. Now, of course, I'm going to make sure my accessory and my cord's unchecked because that's definitely not going to go to, to the insurance. All right, so I'm going to go here. I can see that I have 2 insurance authorizations that I've pulled for this patient. Now I'm going to use my VSP signature. This is for their frame and for their exam. I'm going to select that here. It brings up my calculation window here where you can see what's checked off, what was available and, what authorization that I got from VSP. And it's cool that you can see the eligibility date, the expired date on here, your authorization number. Because always say, keep in mind, I'm doing this order on the 19th. And the eligibility is the 19th, but let's say this order actually happened yesterday, then, we would have to have a different eligibility date because, we have to fall within these dates, when we're creating these orders or, it's not going to go through if, if the order date is not within the authorization dates. All right, so we're going to calculate benefits. Now, I love this little message here that comes up. Contact lens fit coverage. Contact lens fit may not be covered. The contact lens fitting on this order may not be covered by the selected insurance. An error may occur during calculation if coverage is unavailable. Click OK to continue and calculate benefits. Click Cancel to remove the contact lens fitting from the calculation. It will be excluded from the claim. So this is a great example of having something checked off on your pricing screen and the system is telling me, hey, may not be covered. You want to check this. So I'm going to cancel out of this and I want to show you guys something. So you see right here for my VSP, see right here, contact lenses is not selected here. And when I started out with my authorization, I purposely made it where I didn't select the contact lens services, and your patient may not have those benefits. They may be responsible for that contact lens fitting, especially if they're getting glasses with their insurance. Then the fitting, may be the responsibility of them. So you have to really pay attention to that. And that message that popped up, is super important to follow these messages that you're seeing on this pricing screen. So I'm going to cancel out of this and I'm going to uncheck my fitting fee because it is the responsibility of the patient. This patient does not have the benefits for the contact lens fitting, so they're going to have to pay this out of pocket. So I want to make sure I uncheck that. Then I select my insurance, calculate benefits. And this is another great message here because me creating this order, I just like randomly, it's like, I'm just going to pick whatever lab. but it tells me error attempting to get primary insurance schedule version ID. So I have to make sure that I'm choosing the right lab. I know that's a non-IDC lab, but, and now mine's gonna act crazy here, but you come to the calculation window here. If there's anything that's happening that's unusual, anything that, the system's like, wait, check this out. Make sure you're, watching for these messages up here, any warnings, any errors, that you're seeing those and, it's calculating right. Keep in mind that if you can calculate manually, but the system should be doing the calculations for you here, with the pricing screen. Another cool thing about this calculation window here as well, when we updated the pricing screen, is the ability to see all of this up here, what their plan is, all of those dates, authorization. Now you can still see your benefits page here, like you could before, but that we have the extra information up here that you can see everything. What insurance are you, using? Now, if you notice, it didn't calculate my benefits for some reason. Um, so I, can definitely override this. I can continue without insurance, if that's what I'm should be doing, or I can go back, and edit my order. So I'm gonna cancel out of this for a second, and I'm gonna go out of here because this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start over really quickly. I'll do this real quick, and so my benefits will calculate. I want you guys to see that happening. All right, let me just put these things back in here really quickly. All right, I'm just gonna add that and my lab. Continue to pricing, and just to get back to my. Okay, so we can see, everything's here. Now I'm gonna uncheck this because remember, I don't want that to be there. Calculate. Okay, it does not. Okay, well, it's not gonna do it for me for whatever reason. It's not being nice. Okay, so I'm just gonna throw a couple things in here, but, definitely, okay, so calculate manually. I can do that, but normally you won't have to do that because it's gonna calculate for you. I'm just gonna throw some numbers in here. Okay, so I'm gonna save this. And then, just like normal here, you can, save an invoice. You will have messages like just like you did before. If you need to, you may need to add modifiers or dispensing fees. It adds that up there so you can do the add review, to add any of those, additional items if needed. All right, so then we're gonna save an invoice in just a second, but you can see here that now this area has lit up because I've applied the primary insurance. So if I did have another insurance, for instance, if I was doing coordination of benefits, if I had two VSP plans or a primary medical and a VSP, I could do, the coordination of benefits here with that plan. I'm not going to do coordination of benefits with this one because this patient doesn't have two VSPs now. I mean, they do have essential medical. If you were applying that as COB, you could do that, here, as long as you have those authorizations. All right, so then we're going to save an invoice and then, document the patient payment like you normally would to complete this order. All right, and then I'm just going to cancel out of this. But of course, you guys would add your recall here. And then you can see my order here, and mine's failed. It's in the training environment, but in your live environment, of course, after you're done with your pricing screen, your order will go to your lab and your claim will be billed out, as long as you're following all those prompts, all those messages that we were seeing along the way on on this pricing screen. All right, well, that is the presentation of our pricing screen. Marianne, any questions?
Thank you, Tina. Doesn't look like we have any questions. So if you're looking for more training, be sure and check out our other learning options such as documentation, tutorials, walkthroughs, role-based training, additional training webinars, one-on-one virtual training, and on-site training or consultations. You can learn more at eyefinity.com/education. So with that, I'd like to thank you, Tina, for the time and valuable information you shared with us. And thank you to all who attended this webinar for taking time out of your busy day to be with us. This concludes our presentation.